Well, hello and welcome to the How to Start a Small Business class. Very glad that you're here. Hopefully, we're going to go through some very good information to either help you get started or help you get going as you are a small business in this market. So, very excited. My name is Marta Fry, and I am the director of the Collin Small Business Development Center. My background is I worked in a family business for part of my career, an engineering design firm here in Dallas. And then the last part of my career, the majority of my career has been in entrepreneurial education and entrepreneurial advising and really advocacy. So what we do here at the Collin SBDC is really try to get as many resources and as much information in your hands to be able to have a good experience and a solid experience as you're getting your business started. So welcome again. What we're going to do today is I'm going to have a presentation. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. Hopefully all of you have received the presentation already, so we'll go through that. But at the same time, please, if you have a question, put it in the chat box and I will answer it throughout the presentation or at the very end. Do not hesitate. Let me know maybe if I can unmute you and if you'd like to ask a question, but there's lots of good information. So I want you to ask the question in the middle to make sure you get the information you need, or if you need me to repeat a resource, because there's going to be a lot of juicy info in here in this presentation. All right, so I'm very excited. Let me get my screen shared here. Oops, hold on. Okay. Little technical difficulty, which is always a fun thing to have. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Can you guys just put in the chat box if you can see the presentation? Yes? Alrighty, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so again, welcome, Collin Small Business Development Center. Hopefully some of you know us, and if you don't, you're gonna get to know us today. So it's gonna be a good presentation. All right, here we go. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna really talk about three main aspects of getting started. First is the feasibility study of your idea. We're going to talk about, is this the right fit for you? Can you make money at this? What it might take for you to get this business started. Oh, hold on. We can't see the presentation. We can see the screen. Okay, I'm so sorry. Let's just keep trying here. How about now? You didn't like my background? Okay, sorry about that. All right, here we go. Thanks for everybody for your feedback. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to go through the feasibility study of your concept. Then we're going to talk about a business plan. And I'm not going to want to scare you about this. This is not going to be a 150-page document. This is just going to be something a little simpler to really help you get going. And then really, what are the steps to getting started? What are actually do you have to do to be able to call yourself in business? All right, so let's get going. Feasibility. The first thing that I'd like for you to consider is starting a business the right thing for you to do? Unfortunately, many of us have lost our jobs or are on furlough. So is taking the risk of starting a business now the right move for you? Now, these questions are just retrospective. I just want you to think about them. Another thing that you want to consider is, starting your own business means kind of 24/7. You're really going to be thinking about this. You're going to be planning it. You're going to be working within the business, and it's going to be all consuming. So do you have the time and the mind space to really put into this business? Hopefully you do, but that's something I want you to consider. One of the other things that's kind of important in hey, is this business idea, concept starting right for you? Is, are you a marketing person, for example? Are you a numbers person? Well, if you're a numbers person and not marketing, you've got to be able to learn how to become those things. You're going to have to understand, unless you have the financial wherewithal to be able to hire lots of different people, accountants and marketing and sales, so that you can just focus on your product or service, you're going to have to learn those things yourself. I'll give you a perfect example. So, our family business, my father was an electrical engineer and very well respected, very, very brilliant in his work. But he could talk to you about the design of a building all day long, and he could talk to you about his projects. But talking about himself or selling the business or our services were very hard for him. So, what does he do? He hires his daughter. He hires me so that I can be more of the marketing and face to face and salesperson in the business. And so that worked. Cheap labor because you're hiring your daughter. But if you don't have that opportunity, I want you to think of all these questions and all these concepts to see if getting that business started is really the right move. So hopefully, once you do this, you've kind of realized, yes, let's move forward. So, next step. Okay, the next step on the feasibility study is really trying to figure out, is your business concept sound? Is it something that makes the most sense? So here's what I want you to do. 50,000 miles above sea level, right? At a very, very high level, I want you to do two things. I want you to do a quick market analysis, and I want you to do a quick competitor analysis. Okay, for example, I am wanting to put a coffee shop in the zip code 75093, okay, in Plano. I want a coffee shop. Okay, in general, do a lot of people visit coffee shops? Probably. In 75093, is there enough of a market to have coffee shop? Probably. I mean, you can figure out the population of 75093 in Plano and figure out there are this many households or there's this many businesses with employees. And so, at a very, very high level, that there's a lot of people probably wanting coffee in that area, in that zip code. Okay. Well, the next step, again, very high level, is we're talking about, well, then how much competition is there for my coffee shop? Well, let's get a little more specific. Maybe I want to put my coffee shop at the corner of Park and Preston. All right, lots of businesses around there, lots of shopping around there, lots of homes around there. Again, there's lots of people in that area that could visit my coffee shop. But what about the competition in that area? Again, you're not doing a in-depth analysis right now. We're just saying, oh, wait a minute. Okay, there's at least two Starbucks within that four cross area. There's a Panera, there's a this, there's a that. That's a lot of coffee for that. There's a lot of competition in that area. But is it too much with the comparison of the market? Maybe, maybe not. But again, you're doing a quick analysis of how much of your market is out there. Yep, it's there. And then a quick comparison of how much competition is there. Do a Google search, do something very quick, but take those two pieces of information and the general concept. And then what I want you to do is I want you to test your idea. Test those three things: the explanation of your concept, the general market size, and the general competition in that area. And take it to someone that can help you analyze whether that makes sense or not. Now, do not go to your family and friends. Why? Because they're going to tell you that you're brilliant and that you're going to make $1 million and you make the best coffee. And so do it. That's wonderful. We're going to talk to them a little bit later in this presentation. Right now, I want you to test your concept with organizations such as score.org. That's SCORE.org. Score.org. I'm going to put that in the chat box real quick. SCORE is basically one of our sister organizations. They are sponsored by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and they provide free mentors for anyone starting a business. So go to a mentor and talk to them about, is my business concept sound? Does this make sense in this area or for me? And so test the idea with one of their experts. Again, it's no cost and it's an opportunity for you to have a mentor by your side throughout the process. Now, another place you can go test your idea. If you know a banker, if you know your banker, or if you know a commercial banker at your bank, go talk to them. Find out, gosh, we're doing loans for coffee shops too much. Our bank is just not doing loans to them anymore because there are too many out there. The market's saturated. Some banks also have databases where they could do a little bit of research for you. If it's your bank, they're going to want to continue to grow your business. You're grow your business with them, and therefore they're going to be able to help you. So test your idea with your banker if you know him or her. Another place that you can test this concept is those of you that have products. For example, talk to a supplier, talk to a manufacturer. Hey, I'm thinking about making this widget. What do how many of these widgets are you making in my area in 75093? Just get some general information from them. Don't give away any of your main concept or secrets, right? But at least test the concept with someone like that. So those are three at least areas where you can take your concept idea, your general market, and your general competition and have somebody else that's objective tell you, great, move forward, or you might want to think about it a little bit more. Especially score.org, they're going to walk you through that process. So I highly recommend them. In addition, score.org it's a great website. There's lots of templates, lots of good articles. So really take advantage and take a look through there and see what other information you can get from this website because it's very, very rich. Okay, so let's say you've decided the business concept is sound. And so because you've gone to another source and they've helped you with that, now we're going to figure out, okay, how do we finance this startup? How do we get the money, or what money do we need to get this going? So I'm kind of a visual person. So I've envisioned the next two slides as in like two columns on a spreadsheet. All right. The first column is I want you to make a list of all the expenses you're going to have before you open the doors to your business. Now, if you're a service, technically, before you start your service. But before you get started, you open those doors, you're going to have maybe equipment purchases, you might have inventory, you might need to buy a new computer or laptop, you are going to have maybe, hosting for a website, or if you're in my coffee shop, I'm going to have to hire people to train them before we open the doors. So everything that I'm going to spend at the very beginning before I open the doors, that's one column. Just write down costs. All right. So now the next column that I want you to consider and I want you to do is how much money you're going to need to spend every month, each month, to keep the business open. So monthly inventory, monthly payroll, monthly website costs, insurance costs, accounting, if you have an accountant, office lease, telephone use, anything you do monthly, put that down. All right. So one column is startup costs, one column is monthly working capital costs. Here is the goal. We want you to have 100% of your startup costs plus 6 months worth of your working capital costs before you get started. Okay? 100% of your startup costs plus 6 months working capital before you get started. Okay? So those of us that are starting the coffee shop, I've got to rent a space and I have a utilities down payment, and I've got, monthly inventory, starting inventory. my costs are going to be a lot larger than my friend that's starting a consulting firm, because the consulting firm is basically his experience and a computer and a website and some databases, right? So our startup costs, startup plus working capital, are going to be very, very different. So once you have that number, wow, do we have it? Do we not have it in our bank account? If not, where do we get it? Okay, here are some sources of capital. First of all, you need to have your own personal savings in the business. Why would anybody else give you money unless your own skin's in the game? So remember at the very beginning about whether you should get this business started. Well, are you willing to risk savings to get this business if you are, unfortunately out of a job, or there's just a lot of concepts that you need to consider, since you need to put your money in first. Then this is where friends and family come in. Now, once you have your concepts a little bit better developed, then you go to them and you ask them, can you help me? Can you invest in my concept and in my business? That's next. Okay. Investors, angel investors, venture capitalists, most companies that we're starting are not the types that are really sought after from these investor types. Why? Because they're looking for high, quick growth, huge returns, huge investment. And so right now, if I'm starting my coffee shop, that's not really something that an outside investor would be interested in. Now, if you have personal friends or colleagues that want to invest, absolutely. But I'm just talking about the ones that we don't know, that you may not know, a venture capitalist or an angel investor. Those are harder to find. Now, we're going to go through bank loans or we're going to go through guaranteed loans, but what's not on this list? Grants. Okay. There are no government to help you get started in your business. None. So don't fall into those traps of, oh, we can find you a grant to get you started. The government basically cannot own your part of your business by helping you get started. Now, there are grants from the government to get you growing later on. If you're in a rural area, there might be some grants. If you are in some sort of biotech or nanotechnology or something, there might be something. For those, I want you to look at grants.gov. So that is grants.gov. And those are the only government grants that are out there. And again, it's to get your business started. Now, there may be some private grants out there. You'll see Oprah Winfrey or Bank of America or American Express has some sort of grant. Those public, or I guess more private grants, go for it, find those. But I'll tell you, you're competing against hundreds of thousands of other businesses. So they're hard to get, but just understand there are no government grants to help you get started. And that's why that's not a source of capital here in our startup class. Now, to get more ideas of funding, we do have a how to fund a small business class every single month. So look at our calendar and take that one as well and find out some other sources of funding, because I think that'll be important. But let's go back to loans and SBA loan guarantees. Okay. Most lenders are looking for you to be 2 years old before they'll really look at you for a small business loan. Now, some do loan to startups. They're few and far between. It may be if you're buying an existing business and there's some track record there, they might be able to help you do that. If you're buying a franchise, it just really depends. So this is what I want you to understand. I want you to understand how a lender, how a bank looks at your deal, looks at your business to get a loan. All right. They're looking at 5 different things. First, they're looking at industry experience. If I've been a dentist all of my career and I decide to open that coffee shop and I have no experience as a barista, owning a coffee shop, the lender's going to look at me and go, I don't think so. You don't have enough experience. So they're either going to tell me to go work in a coffee shop and get some of that experience, or going to tell me to bring in a partner or a full-time manager that has that background and experience that can really help, strengthen the foundation of the business I'm trying to start. So industry experience is one of the ways they're looking at you. Okay, equity injection. Remember, we talked about your money needs to be in the business before anybody else's. The lender is going to look for you to have put in 20 to 30% of the business cost before they're going to loan you money. All right. So if you need a $100,000 loan, they're going to want to make sure you've already spent $20 to $30,000 on equipment, on just in the bank, for the business. You've invested in it somehow. They want that injection before they're going to be able to give you that loan. FICO score. They want to make sure that the owners of the business have a credit score of over 700, some more than 750, but 700, to be able to give your business a loan. Now, if you do not have that credit rating, there are some lenders, especially some of the community lenders, smaller lenders like People Fund, for example. They're the ones that are Dream Spring. People Fund, I'm going to put this in here too. People Fund, Dream Spring. They're going to be the ones that, if you have bumps and bruises on your credit, they're going to be the ones that may be able to help you with a loan and that kind of thing. So definitely take a look at them and see if that's an option. All right. The last two pieces of how a lender looks at your deal are probably the hardest for small businesses to access. One is repayment options, and the other one is collateral. Okay. Repayment options. For example, I want to have my coffee shop, but the lender needs to make sure I can make my payments, even though I may not have sold anything that month. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, my coffee shop has been closed. And so I have not been able to sell anything. Well, I still need to make my loan payment. So a second source of repayment, for example, may be that my husband has a full-time job and he makes more than enough money to keep a roof over our heads, to have food on the table, and make that loan payment for me just in case. So our household expenses and income will be able to support the loan payment. And so if you don't have that second source, the lender is going to look at you and go, Now, the last part is the lender is going to look not only the second source of income, but they're also going to want to make sure you have collateral. Well, okay, I've already put in 20 to 30% as an equity injection. The lender's still going to want to make sure that you are collateralized for the rest of it. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're trying to mitigate their risk. That's when sometimes an SBA guaranteed loan comes into play. What happens is the U.S. Small Business Administration guarantees 70 to 80% of the loan to the lender to make sure that the loan is fully collateralized. You've put in 20 to 30%, the SBA guarantees 70 to 80%, and therefore it's a little bit more sound or a little bit stronger opportunity for the lender to say yes. So there's options. I mean, I want you to consider a conventional loan. I want you to consider an SBA guaranteed loan. I want you to consider a line of credit. In any case, the bank wants you to have, some track record, some revenue, some financials that you can show them. So until you're about 2 years old, this is going to be harder to get. Is it possible for you to get this money? Yes, it is. It's just going to be harder unless you can meet all of this criteria and make sure that it's sound. So again, I just want to give you an idea of how the lenders are looking at you and at your deal before you decide, yep, I'm going to go to a lender and figure out, how much money they can give me. All right. Any questions on the feasibility study? No? Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Business plan. unless I have Siri, a map, my phone, some sort of, device, I don't really know how to get from my office to Tupelo, Mississippi. I need directions. I need a map. Well, guess what? Your business plan, that's what it is. It's a map. It is just a way for you to get, I am starting and I want to get to 2 locations in 10 years, 5 years. How do I get there? We need a map. So it's important, again, not only just to know how to get here to there, you're going to need the business plan if you have a loan at some point, and you're going to need a business plan really to measure your progress. So be thinking about it and don't get too overwhelmed. I'm hoping to make this very simple for you. All right. Now, you have in your presentation the crucial parts of the business plan. This is according to the U.S. Small Business Administration. So we're going to go through some of these, and I promise you, it'll be simpler. I really am hoping it's going to be simpler than you think. All right. The first part of the business plan is the executive summary. I want you to write this last. Very simple. The executive summary is the who, what, when, where, why, and how of your business plan. It's very short. It could be 5 paragraphs. It could be 1 page. I mean, it really just depends. And so write it last, because after you've written the majority of the business plan, it'll be easier to summarize it. So don't worry about this until the end. All right. So what do? First part of the business plan, business description. Okay. I want to start my coffee shop in 75082 because that is the area that I have chosen because I know the area very well. I have experience in coffee shops. I've managed a coffee shop for the past 10 years. I've been a certified barista for the past 5 years. I have industry and experience in this. My short-term goal is really to do just kind of a quick takeout coffee shop, something very simple with a drive-through, but eventually I'd like to franchise this and be able to sell franchises to my coffee shop because I think the concept is really sound. It is going to be in Richardson in 75082. And really right now I'm the only owner. By the time I start to grow, I'd like to take on a different owner, maybe a partner, but we'll see, how that happens. Okay, guys, I just wrote the first part of my business plan. I'm doing a coffee shop, where I'm doing it, the experience I have, my short and long-term goals, and the fact that I want to bring on a partner when I'm growing. That's as simple as it can be. I want you to take what is in your head and put it on a piece of paper of what it is that you want to get going and you want to get started, right? Simple. Take what's in your head, put it on a piece of paper, and it's just the general business description. All right. Next is not even something that you need to write. I just want you to do a little bit of research. What that means is I want you to find outlook and trends in your industry that support the idea of your business. So for example, there is a National Coffee Roasters Association. There is probably a Texas Association of Coffee Shops. There are organizations and associations out there that do research for the industry to help promote business ownership or business growth. So they're going to be able to tell me, hey, the new wave in coffee is Colombian beans served with, Nigerian beans. And so that blending of coffees is really the hot thing. And that's exactly what I'm wanting to do. So find a second source of industry analysis or trends that can help you assess and just plop that information into your business plan. Somebody else says that my concept and my business in general industry is growing. Now, there is something called the Encyclopedia of Associations. I'll put it in the chat box. The Encyclopedia of Associations is kind of just a database of different types of uh, associations from national, state to local. And so I want you to look for those because they're going to have industry trends. I'll give you an example. Realtor.com. Realtor.com is a place where you and I may go try to buy a house, but it's also has a section to help realtors grow their business, sell more homes, sell better. They have industry information. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to really help those realtors out there grow by giving them trends in the industry. And so it's an important resource if I was starting a realtor organization. And so that's going to be information that I could put in this industry analysis. So take a look at the associations, the organizations that you may know of in the industry to just plop some of that information of what the trends are into your business plan. Nothing you've got to write, just do a little bit of research and it should be really easy to do. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go and do a more in-depth market analysis. All right. So now what I want you to do is I want to analyze your target market and I want to analyze your competition. If you are targeting an individual, right? I own a Montessori school and I've got to figure out who my target market is. Okay, well, is it male or female? I don't mean to be sexist, but it's probably the mom. She's probably at an age where she has Montessori school kids. So she's probably in her 30s, let's just say. The Montessori school is going to be in Allen. So I've got my geography. I've got a high-end Montessori school. So probably this family needs to make over $250,000 a year as household income. So I'm getting very specific about where, who she is, how much she makes, how old she is. Get very, very specific about if you're targeting an individual. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go to the census.gov, and we're about to have a new census. And at the census, I want you to put in that criteria, that location, and I want you to figure out how many of those people are in your target market. Is it 5,000 households? Is it 2,000 households? Is it 25,000 households that have that age group, that household income, in that geography, all of that good stuff? Find out a number. Okay. For individuals, then I want you to go to bls.gov. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has some very interesting data where you can do by geography, by gender, by household income, how much that type of group spends on private school, on Montessori school, a month, a year. So find out from the target market what they're typically spending on the type of business that you have. There's another cool thing at the bls.gov is that they'll have how much time that individual may spend on reading, on spending time at a restaurant. So depending on what your product or service is, how much time they surf on the web for retail products. There's information there that you can find out about your target market, not only about hours, but about, amount or time or money. So it may be very interesting. Now, let's switch. If you are targeting a company, then what I want you to do is I want you to figure out, okay, the company I'm targeting is really in 75034 in Frisco. So that's kind of an important point. I sell pencils, and so I need to figure out all of the, maybe I'm targeting dentists, maybe I'm targeting small businesses, whatever it might be, to sell my pencils in the geography, the size of the business, or maybe the industry of the business. Get more specific. Okay, if I'm selling pencils to Collin College, am I contacting Dr. Neil Matkin, the president of the college system, to sell my pencils? No. I'm contacting purchasing. I'm contacting someone, becoming a vendor of the college. So, in that target market of the businesses that you're trying to sell to, figure out who you've got to sell to within that target market. Again, if I'm selling my pencils to a dentist organization, to a company, I'm not selling it to the dentist. I'm probably selling it to the office manager. So when you're figuring out your target market, selling to a business B2B, get that specific. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go to referenceusa.com. Now, everybody needs to write down referenceusa.com. For those of us that are selling to businesses, referenceusa.com will give you a spreadsheet of within 75034 all the dentist shops with a credit rating of A to A plus, that have been open for at least 3 years. And I can get a spreadsheet of their name, the contact information, their address, just a lot of good information. Now, referenceusa.com is something that you would have to pay for if you're trying to do it at home. Here's the key: most every library in our area has Reference USA. So contact your local library and ask them to have access to Reference USA. If they do not have Reference USA, what I want you to do is, I'll give you an example. I know the Richardson Library has Reference USA because they have some free classes that are great that you can take on learning how to use Reference USA. It's a very simple database, but still. Um, if I live in Anna and they don't have it in my library, but I have a library card in Anna, Richardson often offers reciprocity and allows you to access some of the Richardson databases with the library card from another city. So check to see if Allen has it, and if they don't, I've got a Plano library card. I can do some reciprocity with the different libraries. It's a really, really good database. Now, we're also going to use Reference USA when we do an analysis of our competitors. So now I want to know how many other office supply companies of my size, because I'm not competing against Staples, of my size in my geography, are there, in the area. So, or within, it might be within the radius of my target sales area. How many of those types of other pencil shops or office supply shops are there? So I'm going to look at Reference USA, put those data points, and figure out, wow, there's 36 in 75034. That's a lot of competition for our target market of 1,000. So you're really going to get more in depth about who the competitors are. Now, some of you may already know your top competitors because you've already started figuring out, maybe you've already started your business a little bit and you're already doing some competition. And so you're getting a feel for who's out there. But in any case, get that list of your competitors and make sure you understand who your target market is and your competitors. Now, with the competitors, what I want you to do is I want you to complete a SWOT analysis. What that is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, at collinsbdc.com, you will find the SWOT analysis, the next slide that I'm going to show you. You'll find this in an Excel spreadsheet because it'll be easier for you to look at this and review. Because what I want you to do is I want to consider the things that you do well and that others do well, your strengths, ways you could improve, the things that you know are kind of a weakness, the things that are opportunities for you, what things do you have on the horizon that you know about? And really, what are the factors that can harm you? What are the threats that are going to be difficult for you to overcome? Again, remember I'm graphical. So I like a spreadsheet. So download the one off of collinsbdc.com and let's do this. First, I want you to list in general your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. Okay, strengths are I have 10 years of experience in managing a coffee shop. Weakness, I've never owned my own, and so I've got to be able to get my brother in law to invest in my business. An opportunity is I know 3 vendors that are dying to work with me. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity of being able to buy from them. So that's really good. And threats are, well, gosh, in my target market area, I've got, a lot of competition. I've got 5 companies that are competition. Just general, write down your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Then I want you to do the same thing for 3 to 5 different competitors. All right. Again, if I'm selling my pencils, my competitor is not Staples. My competitor is Plano Office Supply, somebody that's smaller like me. So how do you do this? Well, some of you already know your competition and you can do some of their strengths and weaknesses. It may be that they've been in business for 10 years. It may be that they only sell pencils, they don't sell pens, and I sell both. Their opportunities is they're starting to do business with McKinney ISD, and so they're getting into lots of different schools. But do the competition. Maybe it's price. Maybe you go online and do a little secret shopping and find out, their price or their timing or their customer service or their rules and regulations for their product or services, their return policy. You just never know. Again, just general strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Here's the thing. What I want you to understand is that um, your competitor's weakness is your opportunity, right? So whatever they are weak in is your opportunity to get better, right? Your threats are probably your competitor's strengths. So what do you got to do? Your opportunity needs to be to mitigate that threat. That's why I do it this way, because then you can see where you have to double check. Does that kind of make sense? So your strengths should be your competitor's weakness or your competitor's threat. Your strength will be your competitor's threat. So take a look at that, work on that, and ensure that what you're doing, that who you are, is different than your competition. What I really want you to do is I want you to be unique. If you are not unique, you'd better be cheap. Okay? There's nothing wrong with either, but unique or cheap. I'll give you an example in a better time of economic prosperity. Neiman Marcus, very unique, right? But it is certainly not cheap. They succeeded at one point in their career, right? Okay, the opposite. Walmart, not unique at all, but extremely cheap. And we know how well they're doing. So you can succeed in both, but figure out what it is that makes you unique from your competition. Okay, questions? All right. Now, why is this all important? Why did you need to know specifically who you're targeting or specifically who you're competing against? Because this is going to make the marketing plan a heck of a lot easier. All right. If I know that I am selling to a mom because I'm doing the Montessori school, am I going to a trade show? Probably not. Um, am I going to necessarily do an email marketing campaign? I don't know that many moms, so I don't know if that's going to be my marketing tactic. Am I going to go on social media? Probably. I suspect moms are on social media. Are they on LinkedIn? Maybe, maybe not. But are they looking for Montessori's on LinkedIn? I doubt it. Maybe they're on Nextdoor. Maybe they're on Facebook. Figure out where they are. Here's the thing. I want you to do 3 to 4 different marketing activities at the same time until you decide it doesn't work. So for 6 months, do 3 to 4 different marketing activities at the same time. All right. One may be a website. very simple. It doesn't have to be 25 pages. One may be social media campaigns. You're on Instagram, you're on LinkedIn. If you're a business, you're probably more on LinkedIn. If you're B2C, a business to consumer, you might be on Instagram, you might be on Facebook. There's just lots of different opportunities there. So that might be number two. The third is network. Now, right now, we can't be at a meeting and shake hands and get to know each other, but there are meetups, there are groups that network. If you're selling B2C or sometimes B2B, I mean, B2B and sometimes B2C, you may be doing a chamber networking session, right? That may be a really important part. So those are three different marketing activities that you're doing: website, social media, and networking at the same time before you realize, yeah, this networking thing's not working because it's all online and I'm just not getting what I need. And then maybe you move to a different opportunity. Maybe you go to email marketing. Maybe you go to print ads. Your target market is in certain circles. They're looking at certain different marketing techniques that may not be exactly what you think. And so once you know who your target market is, for example, if we're talking about selling to businesses, well, there may be some. You still need the website. You probably may need some LinkedIn. You might do some LinkedIn advertising on there. It may be helpful. You may decide to market through government contracting because it's a different type of marketing where you can get to that B2C, but it's B2G, business to government. And they are a big opportunity for you to have your products or services purchased. So 3 to 4 different marketing activities at the same time for 6 months before you think it didn't work. Okay, I don't want you doing a LinkedIn campaign and after 2 advertising opportunities, nobody calls. I don't want you to just drop it. People need to see you, hear you, look at your email, find your website, see your logo somewhere 6 to 7 times before they think about, oh, wait a minute, that Montessori school down the street, I saw them at that community event and they sponsored that little league. Yeah, that's right. I saw that Facebook post. I need to go look. They need to see you, see something of you 6 to 7 times before they think, that's who I need to contact. All right. Most of you have an idea of how to market to your clientele. So again, it's just taking in ideas and putting them on a piece of paper and just making it simpler that way. All right. Next. The next is I just want you to look at operations, right? If I have a consulting firm, operations management, it's just me, right? It's just me, myself and I'm providing consulting services. And so I don't have an organizational chart. I don't have any personnel right now. Eventually, I may want to bring on a second consultant. And so it's just a quick paragraph or 2 or whatever about this is where I am now and this is where I'm going to be. If I've got a coffee shop, you know what? My operations and management plan is I'm going to have a daytime manager or an evening time manager and 3 baristas. And that's what I'm going to do. If I've got my Montessori school, I need to have a director that is certified, and I'm going to have 5 teachers for 5 different grades. So just a general idea of what it may look like for your operations and your management, kind of a workflow, who's going to do what. In general, right now you're just starting the business. So just whatever you think, put it on that piece of paper. All right. Critical risks. This slide meant a lot of different things last year that I did this year. What I want you to do is I want you to figure out what are the possible things that you can do to mitigate risk. Now, no one could have ever imagined this pandemic and what's going on right now. And so I don't know if there was any way anybody could have mitigated what's happening now. But I want you to think about other things. You know what? Maybe the way to mitigate risk is that you want to keep at least 6 months worth of business savings in the account at all times. That's a way. That's a goal. 6 months to make sure you can cover all your costs just in case. Now, again, during this pandemic, that probably wouldn't have been enough, but in general business practices, that might have been a good way to mitigate risk. I'll tell you another thing. Remember those pesky competitors that we talked about? Sometimes they're competitors that actually you respect and that you actually really like their work. Is there an opportunity for you to refer business to each other? Is there an opportunity for you to collaborate and work together sometimes because a job is bigger than you thought? So look at your competitors and create those relationships with those that you think that, yes, sometimes I compete against them, but sometimes I could also collaborate with them to fulfill the project, the service, the product. It's really, really, I want to make sure it looks really good. So another critical risk that you can mitigate, think about it. It's just another opportunity. This section, you don't need to spend a lot of time on, right? Some sections are just putting things from your brain down. Some sections are just doing a little bit of research. This is just something you just need to think about. So don't spend a lot of time here, but it's still something for you to think about. All right. The next to the last section of the business plan is financial data. Those of us that are not numbers people, I'm going to give you a website, and it's also at the end of the presentation, managementhelp.org. Oops, .org. Okay, managementhelp.org is a great resource. So is score.org for the templates that are listed on this page. So really what I want you to probably do as you're getting started is I want you to do a cash flow projection first. And that's going to, remember when we talked about our startup costs versus our monthly costs, this is where you're going to map out month by month for a year at least, how much you're going to spend each month and what you think you're going to have in sales. And let's look at those numbers. So that you would take to score and help, have them help refine it, play a little devil's advocate, but just have some of this financial data as you're hoping this is what's going to happen in the future as you're getting your business started. So this is a good, important part of the business plan that you may need a little help on if you're not a numbers person, but if you are, this should be very simple for you to just propose and project as you're getting going. Now, just want to make sure there's no other questions. The last part of the business plan, exhibits, if you wanted to put an example of your marketing materials there, just to kind of keep it all together. If you are a minority, woman-owned, veteran-owned business and you have certification, you want to put it in there, resumes, anything like that, you can just put it in exhibits. Most people don't have this, but it's just an opportunity, and I wanted to explain kind of what it might be. So you may not necessarily have this, not any big deal. All right. Hopefully, I convinced you that a business plan is not as big of a deal as most people make. Now, you can go to bplans.com and get sample business plans. You can buy a business plan. You can use the online business plan software. But I promise you, those things are going to make the business plan harder because they're going to make you fill in every question in every section, where this is a lot simpler than doing all those things. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying not go to B plans or go to the other resources, but I think it's just something you need to think about, because hopefully it's simpler and easier than you think to make that map from where you are now to where you want to go. All right, questions on the business plan? All right. Okay. So now we're going to figure out, and I'm going to talk to you about how to actually get started, how you technically put your shingle out and say, I am now in business. Okay. According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, these are the kinds of things that you need to do to be able to call yourself a business. Okay, the first thing is you're going to create a legal entity for your business. You are either through your county clerk's office, okay? And if you go to Collin SBDC.com, it's on your presentation, and you will find a business resource page under links and resources that will have all your county clerk's office numbers and emails or websites there. So you're either going to go to your county clerk's office and get an assumed name certificate. It's also called a doing business as, a DBA. It's also called a sole proprietorship or a partnership. You're going to either get one of those. Those typically cost about $30. And it's telling the county that Marta Fry is doing business as Marta's Coffee Shop. That's kind of how it works. Marta Fry and the coffee shop are one and the same when I do that through the county clerk's office. Instead of going to the county clerk's office and doing that, some of us may decide that we want to go to the Secretary of State and file our business as an LLC, as an S Corp, as a limited liability partnership, as a C Corp. That then says that Marta Fry and Marta's Coffee Shop are two separate, completely separate entities. There are benefits to doing a DBA versus an LLC or an S Corp. There are benefits between doing a C Corp versus an LLC. What I want you to do is I want you to attend our legal aspects of starting a business class. Legal aspects of starting a business. That is taught by one of the attorneys that have volunteered here for many, many years. She's excellent. And she'll go through those differences. And that's where you can ask questions and find out, wait, I'm doing this versus that. Is it better for me to do an LLC? Is it better for me to do a sole proprietorship? Let her guide you, because really when it talks about legal formation of your business, you need to get legal advice. It's very, very important. Okay, after you do that, step 2 is I want you to contact the state comptroller's office. Again, in that business resource page, you will find the information for the state comptroller's office. And I want you to contact them and ask them if you, in your type of business, will need a sales and use tax permit. If I am selling consulting services, I may not need a sales and use tax permit. If I am selling handbags, then I'm probably going to buy them wholesale and then sell them to the public retail. So I will need a sales and use tax permit. I want you to make sure you contact the state comptroller's office to find out if you need one, because sometimes they've been adding more and more service businesses to requiring sales tax. So just find out, go straight to them and make sure if you need one. You may not, you just never know. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go to the irs.gov and get an EIN number, employer identification number. It is form SS4, SAM4 at the irs.gov. This is free to get. It's pretty instantaneous after you've set up the formation. And so that's really what's going to help separate Marta Fry from Marta's Coffee Shop, because I'm going to have a separate identification number based on I am now a corporate entity. And so this is my corporate number. All right. Very simple. The last thing that the SBA would like for you to do is make sure you get a bank account that is separate from your personal accounts. So business money, company money is separate from your personal money. It will make taxes and it'll make it a lot easier for your CPA and bookkeeper. So make sure that's all important. Now, we talked about the fact that it's very important for you to contact an attorney and make sure that the things that you're doing here are in the right, how you form the business, all of that's important. I'll give you an example. If I am in partnership with my best friend and we're both married and one of us gets divorced, unless the LLC paperwork is very clear, my ex-husband may get half of the business. So you need to have an attorney make sure that these steps are done right. Now, getting your sales and use tax permit, getting your EIN number, those are free to get. So for example, if you go to a LegalZoom or another online to do your business and create your business, they may want to charge you for getting an EIN number, which is free to get. So just get some feedback and make sure you're not paying more for these kinds of things, because it's not something that you need to be doing. But these are the things that really allow you to put your shingle out and say, I am now in business. Okay, resources. We talked about some of these already, but I want to give you some more. Please go to our website, which is the sbdc.com. We have a lot of information, templates, downloads. Right now, we are starting our CARES program, which is a huge list of seminars that are going to start in January that are at no charge. And so it's an opportunity for you to get some specialized training and consulting on sales, HR, online strategies, management, marketing. So some really good stuff. So keep looking at our website, not only for the downloads, but also for the specialty seminars and classes that are coming up. And again, no charge. Our regional office, the North Texas SBDC, they have additional seminars, maybe from another SBDC throughout the region, because we have 11 centers throughout North Texas that may have something available. Maybe you do want to be selling in Texarkana, and so they have an online networking group there that you might be able to participate in. So other good resources that may be helpful to you through our regional office. I'm going to encourage you to look at the local community college system. So if you're in Collin County, you're very lucky to have Collin College because they have an excellent continuing education program. They've got classes, for example, a QuickBooks class. It's not the theory of accounting. It's how do I open the box, get this going, and make this work for my business immediately as I'm growing and as I'm needing to keep track of invoices and give information to my bookkeeper. All of that is very important. And so the CE courses, the continuing education courses, are especially helpful in any of your local community colleges. There is some cost to their classes, but they're very minimal. I know, for example, our continuing education department at Collin College, they have some really good website developments. If you want to develop your own website, some really good HR classes. If you're doing a restaurant, they have courses on the food management certifications that your staff may need to have. So it's a really good resource. Let me look real quick. Hi, my state SBDC is not as active in online resources. Absolutely, you can attend the CARES classes. Yes, it's really important for you to be able to access any and all of the resources that any SBDC has, because we're all in it to make sure that you're growing and that you are getting the resources that you need. So please do attend. Okay, other resources, the SBA.gov. The U.S. Small Business Administration actually has some really good videos, little webinars. They also have an email campaign that you can, get emails once a week on what's going on. That may be a good resource for you. So take a look at the website and see what's there. And then we've talked about SCORE.org, excellent resource online, excellent resource for mentors here in the area. Tap into them. Really, really good, important information from them. All right. Online resources. Some of these we talked about and some of these we haven't. Okay. SBDCnet.org. This is the National Clearinghouse and Information Management System for all small business development centers throughout the country. And we're very lucky that they are in San Antonio. So they're here in Texas. The public side of the website has tons of information. They'll have some of that industry trend information that you're going to need for that industry analysis. They're going to have sample business plans. They have market information. They have great articles. Again, downloads. Let's talk about those financial downloads. Do not reinvent the wheel. Get it downloaded from there. The cash flow analysis and the spreadsheet's there for you. So tap into them. There is another side, which is our side of the SBDCnet.org, that we can do some private research for our clients. So as you're growing, then you would come see us, and then that's an opportunity for you to really access some of that SBDC net information. Now, SCORE may have access to SBDC net. So when you get connected to a mentor, contact them about seeing if they can access that special research for you as well. We talked about bplans.com, so that's a good resource. BLS.gov, great expenditure and time surveys, that'll be great. And honestly, with the census wrapping up this year, you'll have even bigger, more recent information to tap into later next year. Marketingforsuccess.com. Those of us that are not marketing people, like my father, this is a resource for you to get ideas. What's an email marketing campaign? How do I get emails? How do I make sure it's not spam? Should I have brochures or business cards? Should I have tent cards versus brochures? Prices generally on what I'd have to have printed. Just a really good resource for tips and tricks that may help you as you're doing some marketing. Managementhelp.org, we talked about some other good resources, templates. I just want you to play in some of these databases and some of these URLs, because there's just, the websites are rich, and so you just kind of have to see what you're looking for, and that may prompt you to do something else because you see another piece of information that you want to learn more about. So those are good. Entrepreneur.com, great online system. They also have a free email with articles, information templates that are useful to any small business. So definitely tap into entrepreneur.com and check it out. And then it's really funny, the IRS.gov. I would have thought this would have been a very scary website, but it's not. Their small business pages are so useful. They'll have a calendar that you can look at on, hey, when do I need to file this tax? What do I need to be thinking about that? They'll have an article on, hey, small business owners, here's a new tax break for you. Take a look at this. So IRS.gov has some really juicy information, and it's not as cumbersome as other websites. So take a look at their small business pages. I think it'll be very helpful to you. All right. Any questions on resources or getting started? Okay. So here's the dealio. I want you to do three things. I want you to do the feasibility analysis and have somebody talk to you and talk through with you on, is this decision the right for you, right? Can I make money at this? Can I move forward with this? Will this be helpful to me? That's number one. Then I want you to do a little bit of a plan. I want you to think about some of the steps that you're going to take, do that little market analysis, do the competitor analysis, so that you have a map to success. And then really, after you've done that, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to do it. It's time for you to make it happen. So it's really important that with the feasibility study, with the business plan, you have the confidence to just think, I can do this. I've got the plan. I've talked to a mentor. I have somebody working with me that can help me through this to make sure I do this in the right way. So ensure your path, plan ahead, and make it happen. That is what we're here to do, and that is what we want you to do so that you can succeed. So with that, any questions? You guys have been a little quiet, but I really appreciate your time and attention. No? Okay. So if there is anything that we can do, please go to our website, collinsbdc.com. If you are getting growing and already moving along, there are so many resources. For example, you can complete a client needs assessment on our website, and we will connect you to more resources. So please feel free to do that and make things going for the business. It's just an important part of what we can do for you and what resources that we have for you. So with that, I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for being here. And I hope you have an incredible week and a wonderful holiday. Thank you.